Well, hello there. Welcome back to another session of Virtual Field Trips, Travels, and Destinations. My name is Beth Gaff, and I am the systems manager here at the Peabody Public Library. And as you can see, I am a pharaoh, which must mean that we're going to be talking about Egypt today. That's right. All of the facts and information that is out there. So we're going to be talking about ancient Egypt today. I don't want to waste any more time. And don't forget, there will be lesson plans and activities to follow this. So be looking for those. But I don't want to waste any more time. So let's get started on the pyramids, ancient Egypt, if you will. Well, hello there. Welcome back to another session of Virtual Field Trips, Travels, and Destinations. My name is Beth Gaff, as spoken in the introduction, and I am the systems manager here at the library. I am so excited about today. One thing I wanted to mention before we get started on our field trip today, that YouTube doesn't really like the fact that I use some of their videos. And when that happens, they will sometimes block some of my content. So I believe our last field trip may have had some sections in it that were blocked due to the fact that they did not like that I had used their video. I assumed that it was public and I used it. We did not get a copyright strike. However, they did mute or block some of the content, or maybe even you can't get to it at all. So hopefully today I can bypass some of that and we can look into Egypt without an issue. So today we are going to be talking about ancient Egypt. So just like always, let me pull this up. Just like always, there will be lesson plans and activities to follow this. So make sure that you take a look at those. So I am going to push play and see what this video is all about. We're exploring this together today. I've got a couple of different websites we can explore. And then from there, you can kind of venture out into your own. I just went into my search engine and typed in Virtual Field Trips Ancient Egypt. If you just want information, you could type in ancient Egypt, and that would just give you information about it. Maybe you just want images, then you could choose images or videos or what have you. All right, let's take a look at this.
Ancient Egypt. So, what is the first image that comes to your mind when someone says, ancient Egypt? Is it the pyramids? A pharaoh? Maybe their hieroglyphics? Well, today we're going to learn about the people of ancient Egypt as we go back in time to visit this exotic, ancient society that is like no other. Let's start by saying that the ancient Egyptians lasted longer than any other civilization, well over 3,000 years. Things really took off for them about 3000 BCE and lasted until 30 BCE, which brought the end of their civilization as they knew it. In the meantime, and for many, many centuries, they flourished along the banks of the Nile and transformed it into the place of wonder that we still enjoy today. Pyramids, temples, and everyday artifacts still survive from these days long past to show us what life was like in the land of the pharaohs. Anubis is the god of the dead and the afterlife. And we always see him with the head of a jackal. He guides people from the world of the living cross the threshold into the afterlife when they die. This role is a very important one because the ancient Egyptians spent a great deal of time preparing for their next life, which they called the afterlife. One of the ways they prepared for the afterlife is to preserve a person's body so that it could be used again. They did this through a process called mummification. The first step of mummification is to remove the organs and then embalm the body. Embalming is a ritual where a combination of oils, salts, and herbs are massaged into the body to preserve it. The body is then wrapped in many long strips of cloth and placed in its tomb to await its next role in the afterlife. We call this wrapped body a mummy. Mummies were then buried in a series of nested coffins, one inside the other. Then, all of the nested coffins were placed in the outermost stone coffin, called a sarcophagus. So, since Anubis is the god of the afterlife, it's not surprising that we find him in many images overseeing the ritual of mummification and burial. Have you ever seen a picture of a mummy? If you have, there is a good chance that it was a mummy of a pharaoh. Join us again for the next part of our Ancient Egypt series as we have a close look at these magnificent buildings that they have left behind for us to enjoy for centuries to come. See you then.
Okay. So this was just a video preview. Evidently, they must have a full version here. Pause this. Let's see if... Okay. Okay, so watch the full video. We're probably not going to have time to watch this whole video. Okay, they want you to pay for it to watch the whole video. But you could actually find some of these videos on YouTube as well. So that was definitely some interesting information. Here are from this website that I will include. Looks like they've got videos and resources if you actually wanted to pay into this. And then this is a video membership of unlimited viewing of one video, teacher class membership, unlimited access to the library. So I may actually look into this and see what they have available in the video library. So, and see if that might be something that I could look into. But in the meantime, I do have some other ones that I thought maybe we could look at. So they do have their way of writing. So I found this, and here's that mummification that they were talking about. There's embalmers, different kinds of careers actually that you can do with the Egyptians. So they were skilled to be mummified. It talks about where the word mummy comes from and how some of these were most costly, less costly, and for the poor. So like we have this today, they have different levels evidently of the death process and how the mummification works. So then they have the different enclosures. Don't know how long this is. This is a lecture about it, so that would be a good one. This is the mummification process. It's 2 minutes.
This is a mummy of a young man named Heraclides. He died in Egypt in the 1st century AD when he was about 20 years old. Mummification was developed by the ancient Egyptians to preserve the body for the afterlife. Typically, all internal organs were removed before mummification, with the exception of the heart. But in this case, the heart was removed and the lungs were left intact. Next, the body was covered with salt and left for about 40 days, until all moisture was eliminated. Perfumed oils and plant resins were rubbed on the body. Thick layers of resin were applied to glue the strips of linen that were wrapped around the body. The mummy was placed on a wooden board, and more wrappings bound them together. A mysterious pouch, perhaps of religious significance, was placed on the chest. A mummified ibis, a wading bird with a slender, down-curved bill, was placed on the abdomen. Ibis mummies commonly served as votive offerings to the gods, but this is an unusual case of a bird being mummified with a deceased human. Long linen strips further secured the wrappings. A portrait panel of Heraclides was placed over the face. A large linen cloth was wrapped around the mummy. The shroud was painted red with an imported lead-based pigment. This treatment is rare. Very few red shroud mummies are known to exist. Egyptian symbols of protection and rebirth were painted on the outer cloth with pigments and gold. Finally, Heraclides' name was written in Greek at the feet. Thanks to this remarkable mummification process, Heraclides' body is with us today.
Wow, that's great. This one is talking about more of that mummification because that's what we're in. So I'm going to go back. Let's look at some of the Egyptian gods. So they have gods and goddesses and demons. This talks about some of the gods. Looks like they're alphabetized. So if you're doing research on some of that, some of them are wicked, some of them, this is a lot of information about some of those gods. So if you're wanting to know more about that, we're going to look at the writings at the end. Here's the pyramids. Okay, so I'm just going to kind of, so these must be the locations of them. Over here on the right, I'm just going to click on the first one that's there. And let's see what they have to say about this. So it looks like this is the layout of the pyramids. And, okay, yeah, that's pretty neat. How it would have been. So let me go back. So this just shows you a little bit about each one of those pyramids. So this one would be the layout of the Sneferis. I mean, it's just magnificent work. Fourth Dynasty. So here's your layout of those different pyramids. Here's a video for that. Looks kind of like a Minecraft here. But it kind of shows you the layout. The craftsmanship and the stuff that they do is just amazing. So that two pyramids. So this just gives you more information about some of those pyramids. So if you wanted to look into all of these, you could most certainly do that. Double tap to toggle. So this one is where and it shows you the locations of where those pyramids are. Temples in 3D. That's pretty cool. Ancient people like to decorate their buildings. Take the Parthenon in Athens, for example. Nowadays, we have this vision of those beautiful columns, which appeals to our modern. However, in ancient times, the bare stone was hidden from view because it was all painted in the most brilliant colors. This talks about the reconstruction of some of that, of the Luxor Temple. It's great that they keep these up, too. Here's the Temple of Philae. Let's see what that says. Temple of Isis. All the hieroglyphics, which we can look at to determine what is being said, but look at the art of these. It's just beautiful. So that's the construction. And then this just talks, getting that for your iPad. Let me go back. And then here's the other one that they have. Bark Station. Simply gorgeous. All open. Very awesome. It's amazing that these are still standing, honestly, with, weather and whatnots. So here's Pharaoh, stories of the kings and the queens. And so you could go in. Here are a list of dynasties. And it talks about the different periods, who's in charge, what they did. Here's your Egyptian gods. I think we may have looked at that already. And we realized they were alphabetical, so you could go in. I don't know what this is. Who else might be in Pharaoh Tutankhamun's tomb? So here's some of the tombs, secret doorways. So apparently they have a magazine called Nile. We'll let that load up. Women of power. So this talks about the women of the Egyptians. Still loading. Very interesting. Inventions. Too many to list. So the pyramids. Writing. Still loading. Earliest paper known, black ink. They mixed vegetable gum, soot, and beeswax to make a black ink. They replaced soot with other materials such as ochre to make various colors. The sickle, it's a curved blade. Okay, so here's our Nile magazine. King Tut's treasures. I will include this link as well, so you can kind of look at the magazine they have. They invented the calendar, clocks. So this tells you about all the different kinds of inventions from the Egyptians that we have. And the discovery. So let's come back up here to the hieroglyphs. So this was some of the writing. And this goes through the alphabet, what each letter means. Like according to what we're used to. They don't really have a C, they have a D. There's H, I. So, you know, you could get really creative and make codes, which I may try to find us a sheet to do that. This talks more on here about the gods and the mummies. You can also shop. So if you are a shopper, let's see what they got. Oh, it's loading. Oh. Okay, these are just some free images. Okay. Here's videos, so you could come in and look at different videos that are a part of Egypt and the information. Let's look at this. This looks pretty cool. That's that 3D construction. I don't know if we watched this one or not, but just imagine that being that back in that time. I mean, obviously the corrosion and weather to the buildings and stuff nowadays, you're probably not going to see this as colorful and vibrant. By doing this, though, we were able to see other stuff. So, let's go into Kings and Queens. And we looked at this already. So this is a great website for you to kind of explore on, take a look at. I did not go into all of the videos or anything. They have stock images, some downloads you can do. So this is a really good one too. And as we spoke earlier, I am going to look into this virtual field trips and see what I can do about getting on a subscription for that for $45 a year. I feel like that's totally worth it. So, all right, you guys. Well, this is a little bit shorter of a virtual field trip. I want to see inside of a pyramid. Let's see. Inside the Great Pyramid. Here we go again with YouTube videos. Let's see what we got.
There's no need to buy contact lenses from your eye doctor. with ContactLensKing.com.
Not what I was looking for. What's inside of a pyramid? Let's see if there is 4 famous sites. There's the statue. There's the pyramid. The Great Sphinx. But I wanted something that showed us, is it legal to go inside? Okay. Let's see what this one is. Inside the Great Pyramid. Let's see what this is. Oh, so this is inside. I can find another one. I just wanted some kind of little video that showed us, you know, inside. Full tour inside. New discovery. Let's see. So this is from Britannica. It doesn't look like they have a video though. The inner structure. Okay, let's see what this is.
When people think of the pyramids, their brains usually go straight to mummies and treasures. They may think of a certain infamous golden sarcophagus, or maybe of hieroglyphics coating the insides of big triangular walls. At about 450 feet tall, the Great Pyramid of Giza is the biggest pyramid in Egypt, so it must have a lot of cool stuff inside, right? Not exactly. Most pyramids consist almost entirely of solid stone, and the Great Pyramid is no exception. But what it lacks in quantity, it sort of makes up in mystery. Like most Egyptian pyramids, the 3 pyramids of Giza are royal tombs. The Great Pyramid, or Pyramid of Khufu, is the final resting place of the pharaoh Khufu, who ruled in the 25th century BCE. It is the oldest and tallest of the 3 pyramids. It's made up of about 2.3 million blocks of limestone, and not much else. There's actually very little open space inside the Great Pyramid. This diagram shows what we know to be in there. From the entrance, there's a passage with ascending and descending branches. The descending branch leads to an underground chamber, which is usually where pharaohs were laid to rest. However, this one appears to be unfinished. Khufu's sarcophagus is in another chamber, known as the King's Chamber, up the other passage and through the long, tall, slanting Grand Gallery. The King's Chamber is lined with huge blocks of granite. All that's there now is a huge granite sarcophagus, which once housed the pharaoh's mummy. Sorry, hieroglyphics fans, the walls are bare. Above the King's Chamber are 5 compartments separated by huge slabs of granite. They probably help support the ceiling of the burial chamber. Below the King's Chamber and the Grand Gallery is a room known as the Queen's Chamber. This room probably didn't hold any queens though. A pyramid was usually a tomb for a single person, and Khufu's wives may have been entombed in small pyramids nearby. The Queen's Chamber is empty now, but that doesn't mean it's boring. There are tunnels leading from the north and south ends of the chamber, and nobody is quite sure what they're for. Scientists and explorers started sending robots into the tunnels in the 1990s. In the early 2000s, a robot with a small, flexible camera brought back photos of a chamber with red hieroglyphs, somewhere around here. They haven't been deciphered yet. As for treasures, whatever was inside the Great Pyramid was stolen long ago. But it still might have some mysteries for us to uncover. Scientists continue to map and explore the pyramid using various technologies, including infrared scanners, lasers, and cosmic ray detectors. In 2017, it was reported that scientists using cosmic ray detectors had found a hidden chamber above the Grand Gallery. Nobody knows yet why it's there, but it's unlikely to hold any secret treasure. With the Great Pyramid, what you see, namely rocks with a hearty dash of history and mystery, seems to be what you get.
All right, you guys. Well, I'm going to go ahead and end our field trip. I feel like this could be a rabbit hole. I could go down all day. We're already into this 30 minutes, so I feel like you could probably explore a lot of this on your own. While we're in Britannica, though, they've got games and quizzes. That's kind of cool. But I will have some lesson plans and activities for you as well. As always, I'm always up for suggestions, so if you'd have a suggestion of what kind of field trip you'd like to see, just let me know. Thanks so much, and I will see you in the next video.